Does anyone else see a meadow and want to run through it? I do. The Dripping Springs Trail is only a little over 3 miles and is a part of the 500,000-acre Oregon Mountains Desert Peaks National Monument, a real haven for hikers. The mountain range is of volcanic origin and sculpted by the geologic forces that formed the Rio Grande Rift. And although the hike is all uphill on the way in, it is fairly gradual and not difficult at all. Really big. The springs provide a year-round water supply for wildlife in the area. Mule deer, Gambel's quail, golden eagles, rattlesnakes, tarantulas, and mountain lions. On this trip, we got to see many mule deer.
There's the natural source of the Dripping Springs as it comes down the mountain from up there through that gap, and then goes to this tank and eventually comes out of a spigot down below.
The wide path of the trail was created for the stagecoaches that brought visitors to Dripping Springs Van Patten Mountain Camp Resort and the Boyd Sanatorium. The Van Patten Mountain Camp was constructed in the 1870s and relied on a 17-mile stage line from Las Cruces that transported guests to the facility. The resort attracted notorious guests like Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett. Today, the trail into the canyon passes the resort's livery stable, mercantile store, and chicken coop. So this is the Boyd Sanitarium, right next to the Dripping Springs. Eugene Van Patten rented part of his land to a doctor by the name of Nathan Boyd. During the latter years of the 19th century, tuberculosis was the leading cause of death in the United States. The only treatment advocated by physicians at the time was a dry, sunny climate with high elevation. They considered New Mexico ideal. Dr. Boyd rented the land and built a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients. But renting the land to Dr. Boyd for a sanatorium proved to be a bad decision for both men. The two men fought over the land and water. Ultimately, Van Patten had to sell the land to Dr. Boyd because of the costly litigation involved. After new vaccines emerged, causing a decline in demand for a sanatorium, and also after the prolonged costly litigation with Van Patten, Dr. Boyd, in turn, was forced to sell the Dripping Springs property. The sanatorium closed a few years later. Lots of drama, but I'm so glad that this area eventually ended up being included in the Oregon Mountains Desert Peaks National Monument.
Here's another view of the Dripping Springs going into the tank, which looks like it's now full of loose gravel and things that have slid down. Comes down through that gap.
Were it not for former President Obama designating the monument in 2014 and two individuals embroiled in greedy disputes, we would not be able to hike on this trail. This trail is definitely a must if you are in the area of Las Cruces. This is called Engelmann's prickly pear.